So we officially opened for business in the fall of 2001. Really, we were on the very leading edge of the motion graphics revolution. 15 years ago, doing things on the desktop that were high-end visual effects and animation was relatively new and unheard of. And a lot of clients really didn't have any sort of trust or faith that it could be done. Of course, today, it's very commonplace. Obviously, everybody uses desktop machines to achieve the same types of results that 15, 20 years ago could only be achieved in these very expensive suites at these high-end visual effects studios. So what Danny and I really did was become these sort of founding fathers of the motion graphics revolution. Years before it even had a name to it, we were doing things in After Effects and Final Cut that were really changing the minds of agency and broadcast producers around New York and around the country.
Yeah, I mean, we really took what we knew from the higher machines at RGA. I was a Flame Inferno artist, and of course, Jeremy was art director, and he was dabbling a lot at RGA in After Effects, and he showed me the foundation of how to get things done within the program, and then I took my knowledge and kind of parlayed that into how to use it a little bit different than a designer would, for example. So that's when, I guess the blending of the roles started to happen. I mean, now, you have designers that also animate, and then they also do a little visual effects. Back then, we did that in necessity because we didn't have employees. We had to do everything.
Pick up the garbage, transfer the phones, clean the toilets, whatever it takes.
So that's right. So we wore many hats. So we did a ton of cold calling. We did email blasts. We did showcases. So we would go to agencies and show them the reel. We had to cut the reel, of course, based on whatever work we were looking for. So if it was titles or commercials, it had to be very specific. So we had a bunch of different reels.
Yeah, and these are physical tapes. I mean, this was not websites or links to QuickTimes. These were physical tapes. We had to have tapes in multiple formats, right? We had to have VHS or half-inch, we had to have 3/4 inch, we had to have a beta, digi-beta, and we didn't even own all these decks. We had to rent them or find a facility that we could go and make dubs, because everything was sent through this physical tape. So there were just dubs by the dozens, and each one of those we hand-cut labels, we had to put them in envelopes, we sent messengers, or we just delivered them by ourselves. It was very, very old school by today's standards. I wish we had more of a website environment back then. It would have made life a lot easier.
We were extremely entrepreneurial and hungry at the same time, which I think is a very good combination. After that, after we kind of sent out the reels and did a lot of the grunt work, so to speak, just to kind of lay the foundation and throw seeds throughout the city, and hopefully they would start to sprout into work. We also created a dream list of clients that we basically just spend a day brainstorming what clients we want to work with. Marvel was at the top of the list. We had HBO, Playboy, ESPN, and basically that's when there was really more of a search and destroy.
Yeah, I think so. It was very targeted, and we really brainstormed a list of brands, networks, agencies that A, we just loved, and B, we just felt there was a tremendous opportunity for us to add value to. So we really felt passionate and had a strong conviction that once introduced, these brands and these entities would really, hopefully see what we could bring for them. So, very, very first project we ever got, you remember?
That was Sony Karashi. It was a music video, promo for Sony Music, theme of boxing. So what we had to do was they shot the commercial, gave us the footage, and they had round card girls, walking around the ring, round 2, round 3, and so on.
Type kind of fly off the cards in
Right.
3D and
we
come
did
back.
3D type. You figured out a way how to do that in Illustrator,
Yeah.
and I reviewed
Frame by
it
frame.
with mats and things like that. So again, using those creative juices to also be creative in the technology that we had. So figuring out things as you went along, and again, because it was all on a desktop, so things weren't really established. One of the things that I loved, though, being able to work on the desktop, was that I had to do a lot of the number removal on the round card. So I removed the 2nd, 3rd, or 4th round type, and then put the new type on top. But I was able to do that on a laptop, so I was able to work on the train going home and work on it at home, and then come back, because we were wearing so many hats. We didn't have a lot of time in the day to do much of the real work. And then slowly but surely, as we started getting more work and as we were meeting more potential clients, we started getting busier, and I think one of the things that helped us tremendously after we got on a roll with HBO and ESPN and those clients was word of mouth. It spread very quickly on how fast we were and the great work that we were cranking out. And Showtime called us because they wanted to know who was doing all the HBO work. It was very interesting to see that people, even though they didn't work together. Everybody talked a lot with, amongst themselves.
So our first big break, though, was HBO. HBO in the spring of 2002 was looking for new ideas for, I believe it was the 4th season of The Sopranos.
Something like that, yeah.
And we got on a short list by some miracle to propose some ideas and some treatments for what a full campaign, a so-called quarterly campaign for their marketing division, which was based all around the Sopranos, might be. So Danny and I put together a ton of ideas and scripts. We actually had to write scripts for this, as well as design and animate what the spots would look like. We presented this in front of a pretty intimidating group of HBO creatives and executives. Again, we were fish out of water, completely unfamiliar with this type of environment, but we nailed it, and they saw the passion, they saw the excitement and enthusiasm we both had for HBO, for the show Sopranos, and for the work we were presenting. We really put our heart and soul into these ideas and into these designs. And it was shortly after we left that presentation that they called us and said that they were giving us the campaign, which was truly, life-changing for us, because again, we'd only done the Sony spot, which was, I think it was a week or 2 weeks long. It was for very little, if any, money, whereas HBO was about 3 months of work. I think we ended up delivering 200 versions of the spot. All the versions were different by a logo at the end or a tune-in information at the end. It was 3 months of guaranteed work, but we saw that this perception business could work and will work, and people really started gravitating towards the two of our personalities and the two of our energies and passions for what we did. So we did the Sopranos campaign. It went really, really well. The client was actually very hands-on with us. They were in our studio, or our corner of a studio, with us for a good part of the production process. So we got a really good relationship with them, which then eventually evolved into future quarterly campaigns. And I have to say, I believe that continued for about 8 or 9 years.
Yeah.
Starting with The Sopranos, a very long relationship, which we treasured and valued tremendously. Very loyal to us, we're very loyal to them. So that was an amazing game changer for us. And then right after The Sopranos,
Streetball,
yeah,
for ESPN, and that was with a director that's still close to us today. We never forget him. Is John Hawk. And Hot Films. He does a lot of 30 for 30 for ESPN, but back then he was shooting a ton for ESPN, doing I guess documentary style shows, and Streetball was the first one, and he gave us an opportunity to do the open for it, and everything inside the show, so the bumpers, the intros, the outros, things like that, and lower thirds,
everything.
And we got to shoot all the Streetball players, showed him some of the designs that we wanted to do for the actual show open.
And we got to do the logo, we got to brand it, which they let them turn into t-shirts and hats and all kinds of merchandise for the show, which is really cool. So we not only got to do this little, small self-contained title sequence, but it was really like branding this new series. And that series had several seasons, which again, I think we did 3 or 4 of them after that first year. Great relationship.
Yeah, we updated them quite a bit, and then that led to and a couple of relationships you had to ESPN, the producers and creative directors there, and that was a little bit different than HBO, because those were more like, hey, we need something done in a week, design something really quick, and then do the promo, and boom. So those were more weekly, high volume, and again, they loved the work we did, live action shooting and stuff. Like, I think the first one was Damn Yankees. It was an anniversary. That's right. And we projected footage on a jersey, and we actually shot it. And they just loved the tactile feel to the project, and that was really the springboard into them saying, "You guys we're gonna keep you busy." And that's when we started to really think, okay, we can't wear all these hats anymore.
Yeah.
So we have to start thinking about bringing people on.
But the first 2 years of Perception were really built on the foundation of HBO and ESPN, and a constant stream of work, whether it was these quarterly campaigns for HBO or these weekly, bi-weekly promos for ESPN Classic, which was great. And then everything else that started to trickle in one by one. We were checking off our dream list of clients. Again, while we were doing the work, animating it, visual effects, producing, we still had to do sales, because one of the cardinal rules of business development is you got to continue to do it even while you've got work going on. You have to worry about what happens after that work is done. We need to have something else lined up. So we were just working around the clock and constantly making the cold calls, constantly sending out the tapes and the reels.
Yeah, I think the golden rules that we still live by is, marketing and innovation, and everybody saw that we were innovating because we were doing this excellent work on the desktop. But again, as Jeremy said, we have to constantly market ourselves, and to do that while you're working on the actual projects and trying to do the cold calls and everything else, we had about 12 to 15 hour days
Yeah.
for a long stretch of time.
The early years.
Yeah.